Hey guys, how are you? So today I am going to share with you a video that has been requested by you guys, and that is for a DIY on how to make your own matte top coat. So basically when matte top coats first came out, they were all the rage. Some nicer high-end companies had them, then later on other companies jumped onto the bandwagon and made not only matte top coats but matte nail polishes as well. It's not as huge of a thing now, but it's still definitely around and you definitely still see it, and I'm even still seeing more companies coming out with that top coat. So I was interested to see people requesting to do this. I did have to do a little bit of research because I wasn't quite sure how to do it, but I found some different options which I'll mention you, but I am going to show you just one method. There's really only one thing that changes, and I'll mention that when I get the tutorial started. I'm also going to show you the difference of having a higher end, more expensive top coat, a really inexpensive top coat, and then how it compared to the one we're going to make together today. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Okay guys, so this is basically all the stuff you're going to need. You're going to need some sort of nail polish. I am using clear nail polish, but if you use any color you want, you end up with that color of matte nail polish. The only reason I'm doing clear is because that way you can apply it to other polishes. I have some practice nails all painted black, and I've got two already with a matte top coat. I might have to include some pictures because you might not be able to see because of the lighting, but just so you can see a nicer higher end one, a less expensive polish, and then the one we're going to make to see how the matte effect looks. Something to pour your polish into. I'm using this same Dap & Dish I used in my DIY nail polish video. I do suggest you pour it into something instead of pouring it straight into the bottle because it would be much easier to mix. And this is a tiny glass. No, it's not a shot glass as some people were asking. You can use a shot glass, obviously something one you don't want to drink anything out of because you will be putting stuff in here that you shouldn't be consuming at all. But yeah, this is a Dap & Dish. It's really tiny. Like, look how it compares to a nail polish bottle. So no, it is not a glass for drinking or anything like that. You're going to need something to stir with. Maybe something, could be this metal one or this wooden one. I'm just using this to scoop my cornstarch, which is the next thing you're going to need. And then I'm going to use this to mix. And this is where you have some options. In my research, I found, sorry, it's a weird angle, you can use cornstarch, you can also use corn flour, and I've seen you can use baby powder, but this is the one I saw the most, so I'm gonna go ahead and use cornstarch for the tutorial. And I thought it was interesting, it had calcium. I don't know if anything happens once you mix it with nail polish, but hey, it's supposed to be good for your nails, so if it does something, it's there, but you don't need one. And this huge thing of cornstarch, you probably already have some cornstarch, but if you don't, this was like less than $2, so it's really inexpensive. So our first step is to take your nail polish, whether you're using clear or otherwise, and you're going to pour that into your dish. It could be a paper plate or plastic plate, or it could be something glass. However, I do want to let you guys know that if you do use something that is plastic or paper, some of the product will dry onto the plate that you're using, so you would lose a little bit of polish. So especially if you're doing something for one application, you're going to want to put a little bit more than you think you're going to need. Then what you want to do is, what I read is that you want to do equal parts, but this is a whole lot of nail polish and I don't want to mess it up. So basically I'm just going to start scooping cornstarch in there. And what you want is to start with a little bit and then add more as it goes, because if it becomes too milky, then it's just gonna look kind of weird on your nails, and you can always add more. So it looks really like a whitish color now, kind of like what matte top coats look like in their bottles. It's not clear, but it's kind of like a milky consistency. And then you're going to take your nail polish, and you can see it's very liquidy. It doesn't thicken it too much, as long as you keep a lot of it together. If you're making just a tiny little batch, you want to work really fast because it does thicken a little bit quickly, so you just want to be careful with that. So then I'm just going to stick my polish brush in there and grab some of that product, and you're going to paint it onto the nail. as you can see, it obviously doesn't start out very matte, but neither do matte top coats. It's gonna take, as it dries, it'll become more matte, and it's a very, very light effect. Again, I have to take pictures for you, so even though that looks super milky white, it's not really giving you that matte effect. So you definitely want to add more polish. The one thing you want to make sure you do is that you use a nail polish remover to clean off the brush, because it will chunk up that brush. So just give it a good clean with some nail polish remover. It doesn't have to be pure acetone, but you definitely want to give it a good clean afterwards. So I am going to scoop some more cornstarch in there and give it a good mix. So let's see how this one looks. You do have to have a light hand with this, or it'll mess up. So now that I have applied a coat with more cornstarch in there, it does look a little bit more matte, kind of like the top coats, similar to the Sally Hansen, which isn't quite as expensive, not as mattified as the Essie one, but it does have that effect, and if you didn't have them side by side, you probably wouldn't realize the difference. So it is definitely a good option. You just have to have a little bit of patience and a very light hand, because the cornstarch does get a little bit chunky. I don't know how it'd be with corn flour or baby powder, but I'm assuming it would be similar. So yeah, so after you're done, you can go ahead and pour it back into your bottle. Sorry about that, guys. So I hadn't realized that as I was filming, the camera died. All I did was pour the polish from my little dish to in here. This isn't really a big deal. If you have glass, you can just wipe it clean with some nail polish remover. If you're using plastic or paper, you can just throw it out. As you can see, I've got my top coat in here. You might have to give it a little bit of a shake before using it. And yes, I know you're not supposed to shake your nail polish because it causes air bubbles, but that's like a lot of thick cornstarch in there, so if you don't shake it, it's not going to mix properly, and it'll just be really gunky when you apply it. So you really do want to give it a shake. I haven't had any issues with it creating bubbles. I've tried this before already and it hasn't been a problem. So yeah, so I mean, if you want to roll it in between your fingers or in between your palms like this, you can, but it might just take a little bit longer to mix. Again, I will take some pictures so you can really see the difference, but you can see just from the shine that these are matte, as well as this one, though not quite as much as this, and the first attempt wasn't very good. So you do have to kind of play around with the amount of cornstarch you put in there before you get a matte effect. And of course, if you're putting your homemade polish on top of all of your nails instead of mixing it, which there's no reason for you to do that, you won't notice the difference between the different brands and how they perform and your own. So it is a good effect, and if you're using just your homemade, it'll be just as nice. Nobody's gonna know that you made it at home. So it definitely does work. You just have to play around with it. I hope this was helpful and what you guys wanted, and if you have any questions, just comment below and let me know. Yeah, so I hope this was good. Have a good day. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.